Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mackie McCandlish, and we're back for the final Call of Duty 1 developer walkthrough retrospective. If I recall correctly, this is the last COD 1 level that I scripted. I may be getting the order wrong, but I was trying to do them in the order that I scripted them. I think this is accurate. This is Pathfinder, which is the first level after the training level in the game, when you're playing the Americans and you land. You're with the 101st Airborne. I guess we can see the intro while I talk about it. And you are landing in France to come up behind the Germans and mess up D-Day. It's based pretty heavily on Band of Brothers. That's how they came in to invade. And for making Call of Duty, it was convenient because we had just made Medal of Honor, where you had this big D-Day invasion, and it was this big thing with lots of scripting and whatnot. And we didn't want to just try to one-up ourselves. So with Medal of Honor, we had put D-Day closer to the middle of the game. So when you get it, you're like, oh, D-Day's on the box. I'm going to get to play Saving Private Ryan. Can't wait to get to that mission. But it doesn't just kick off with it, because that would be anticlimactic. And I think that's what they did for the console Medal of Honor. You wouldn't want to do it that way, though. So we put that in the middle of the game. For this one, since we were trying to shift the spotlight, we're not trying to say this is all about D-Day. We were trying to say this is about being a squad in World War II. So we open with D-Day, but it's not Saving Private Ryan D-Day. It's sneaky, stealthy, understated D-Day. But as we will see, it actually worked out to be a very, I think, effective level for some specific reasons that we'll get to. Couldn't find weapon quotes. So we land. There's the plane that dropped us. And if we turn, we can see a truck go by. Yeah, making that world real. I don't think anything goes wrong if you shoot him. So, and taking me out of the game. Yeah, I get it. Got objectives. Yeah, I pressed tab. So yeah, this was a quick sequence where we drop in. We couldn't. This was also coming out after Medal of Honor, their expansion, which started with an aerial drop where you get to see everything and drop into the level, and there's all these people in the plane going, ah! I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound bad, I don't have time to do a full rendition of it. My point is, we didn't want to directly compete with that either, so we didn't want to really try to dramatize the coming in, because we wanted to put our resources elsewhere into stuff that hadn't been done yet, because otherwise you're just if you put your resources into something that's already been done, you no longer get the benefit of being new, so you have to spend like 2.5 times as much resources. So we spent those resources elsewhere and skipped that. Somebody's shooting at me. This was one of the early things we did with the Quake 3 engine making this game, was that we added TNL support, transform and lighting, which I may have talked about before. I'm getting there. We also started Kleenex testing more, so we could add stuff like this for people that were lost in the field looking at nothing and appearing to the game through its advanced telemetry to be confused. But anyway, the transform and lighting let us make this nice rolling fields, whereas before there was only brushes and curve patches. Now there's arbitrary terrain patches. And I actually spent a decent amount of time on Call of Duty 1 and 2 working on the map editor part to make it so it was easier, basically adding little widgety tools. Man, you are just spoiling my thing I got going here. Tools to make it easier for designers to do the terrain, like taking verts and spreading them apart and seaming them up and stuff like that. I'm going to do a quick reload because I want to catch that guy's cool scripted sequence. Well, I guess that doesn't work. Is this a command back then? Yes. You know, the commands change, but work never changes. Okay, now playing for real. On the move. Can't sprint, but I'm on the move. Yeah, I know, I got objectives. Check it out. That guy's taking a piss. We were so risque. God, I could almost see it if it weren't for the stupid thing. You know, the funny thing is... Oh. There's a whole, like... There's a whole scripting about that guy. See, this is one of the underappreciated things. I'll show you one more time. He grabbed his gun. So for a while, the gun was on the wall. And he had no gun, but I can't remember exactly, but the game doesn't really have the ability for guys to not have guns, so it's doing a little bit of a trick here. If I kill him, notice he never picked up the gun, and I can grab the gun off the wall. So basically that guy, he has no gun for a while, but he can't do combat until he's picked it up. So he's kind of faking a behavior that we didn't really have, which was a bunch of work that may not have been obvious. But basically that sequence was a lot more work than it looked like, is all I'm trying to say. Get some health tins. I think, you know, we keep seeing the prompts about press this or that, and I feel like they're coming up prematurely. It's almost like it's tracking that I reloaded the level, and it's tracking time incorrectly. Here's one of my favorite hints. This door cannot be opened. You never need to try to open closed doors. You need never not ever open. No closed can't open. Something like that. That was basically our way of saying this is a simpler game than you're looking for if you're trying to open a door. So get back on the track, soldier. We stopped putting those hints later, but we felt, I think, coming from Medal of Honor, where the design doc called for the player to have the ability to open any door. And when I first got to 2015, and I opened up the thick design doc, and I read, the player will be able to go into every building and explore the contents of every room. I was like, oh shit, I've made a mistake. Fortunately, reality reared its head. I mean, when I got there was all these crazy ideas about what was going to be in that game. And very little. It's crazy how much we got done given how much time there was left to ship. There was less than a year left on the project when I got there, and there was still a plan to have this sequence where the player hangs out in like a long convoy and they all go through a shower. Like one of those scenes from Band of Brothers that wasn't out yet. I don't know where they got that. Must have been Medal of Honor. Yeah, it was a scene in Medal of Honor. Sorry, Saving Private Ryan. Getting my World War II mixed up. Anyway. So I think we found Sergeant Heath. He is dead. Sorry, Sergeant Heath. We got your leg bag, and you had the radio beacon, so now it's our job to set up the radio beacon. Speaking of Sergeant Heath, Jeff Heath, whom he was named after, was one of the longest-lasting original members of the Call of Duty 1 team at Infinity Ward, and he just left that company 2 Fridays ago. Him and Chance, Glasgow and Janice Turner, the last of the COD 1ers, but there's 2 COD 1ers left that left the company and now work for Infinity Ward remotely. Nate Silvers and Michael Boone. So these guys are having a fun time playing some checkers. And you know, one of the things I learned from the sequence is that a lot of people testing it, they get to like about here. I mean, we didn't Kleenex test COD 1 that much, actually. I think we only Kleenex tested it like once or twice, but people would just like, they wouldn't necessarily appreciate the subtlety of the fact that this guy picked up his gun and dropped a gun, and they would just kill them, you know? So, we are to the radio beacon. Now, let me turn the sound up. I don't know if it affects... Couldn't spawn. I wonder who was spawning. Those guys? Somebody in the truck failed to spawn? Driverless trucks in the past and future. The trucks do a cool little trace to hit the ground to see what kind of dust they should make. That's how they know if they should make a street dust or a dirty dust. Anyway, so we're planting the beacon. And this beacon, there was a lot of debate for this, by the way, about whether or not we should show the glowing beacon that you're going to plant. But anyway, planting a beacon to alert the other troops that this is a good place to land. Now, the cool part about this is that it gives the player the feeling like they started World War II, because from their perspective, World War II isn't much going on yet until they plant this thing, and then it's like, well, we're going to see. But I wouldn't... it's influenced or similar to like the moment in Half-Life 1 where you set off the cascade reaction, the resonance cascade, unleashing the aliens into our world, in that it is direct player action setting off the gameplay. I mean, obviously the Half-Life 1, which was 5 years before this, was a monumental moment in first-person interactive storytelling. So this is part homage, part, you know, part using tools from the toolbox. Let's say that. That's my favorite part of the game, probably. See, I'm hearing their radio going. Technology was amazingly fast back then. Here come my buddies. But now the Germans are all pissed because they saw buddies flying in. See, it's like a cause and effect. There's some buddies landing outside the area. They're probably going to get deleted. There's a lot of buddies that aren't spawning because I can see the spawn point. Now the Germans are pissed because we landed here. They start to shoot down our planes. We've got kind of a mini Burnville going on here. Can't I go prone? Thank you. One thing I didn't like about our prone implementation is the gun just disappears instantly when you start moving. I think that was not supposed to be that way. And that got bombed, I guess. And that got bombed. Oh yeah, you probably didn't notice because I didn't notice either. But that actually got blown out during the attack. It wasn't blown out like that before. So I had to build I built that geo, the broken up geo, Cookie Monster geo, out of the stuff that was already there, and then swapped it and made a fire, played a fire effect. I don't know if I talked about this at all in Burnville, but this effect was something that I worked on with Paul Jury, the effects guy, and I had this. Basically, I had this concept of painting the alpha to turn the texture on and off in different parts, which isn't a new concept, but it was one that we were still experimenting with. For us, it was kind of new, and so we started off using it to show like a transition from grass to dirt. And I was like, well, what if we used it for showing that the house was on fire? And then in the shader, it's got some, you know, Quake 3 kind of red shader effect going on under it, making it look like it's burning under there. So I painted the verts, not in the texture, but in... Sorry, let me take a step back. This looks like a wall, and it is. There's brushes, but there's a terrain patch on top of the brushes, and the terrain patch just has verts where we want to put most of this texture. So like there'll be a vert here and a vert here, and then it'll fade to 0 alpha from here to here using the terrain painting tool. So I took the idea of the ground texture that would normally go from rubble into grass or dirt or sand or whatever to make it feel like there's embers burning on the wall, and put a little sound in there, and I thought it worked out well. We got the first of many that guy's kind of poppy. Many a piece of furniture that stops you from progressing, but there's a reason that guy's there. It's to not just to make him be trapped, but to sell that, yes, this is a dead end, but there's life beyond the dead ends. To make it feel to the gamer that there's no obvious borders. By putting a little gameplay beyond the borders, it makes it appear that it's not so artificial. I guess I missed this fight, but that just goes to show you that... Oh, he bursted the window open. I probably missed that moment. Oh well. Oh, and then there's a big explosion there. I also missed. Yeah, that sequence plays better sometimes. But it just goes to show that the friendlies can fight their own fights. Hey, rotators. Doing some swiveling. Somebody made a tidy bed. Break that glass. Hobbles. He's a hobbler. Better take that health because I can't take it with me. Hey, buddy. Oh, God. Oh man, there's a guy hiding behind that door? But you were hiding behind that door. That was intense. So time to hobble out to Burnville. I think, if I recall correctly, I guess we can verify, but I think I actually did work to make it so the same friendlies would be in Burnville as we see here. I don't know if that's true. I know I did it in Medal of Honor. Maybe I learned from Medal of Honor that was stupid and then I didn't do it in this game. That's probably what it was. Yeah, Medal of Honor, I try to keep the randomly named friendlies from one level at the beginning of the next level because I wanted it to be seamless. No, those friendlies are gone. We got different ones here. They're still back there holding up the rear guard. So yeah, that was Pathfinder. A lot of little subtle things going on that at the time when we were just figuring it all out was a lot more work than it may appear at this point. But that level also came together at the end. Like all the other levels were done, and it was like we need a first level to kick off the game. So if I recall correctly, Todd Alderman banged out the geo, and Steve probably came up with the design, and I scripted it, and here we are. So that was Call of Duty 1 Pathfinder. We've already played Chateau, Stalingrad, Burnville, Dawnville. I think that's all the levels. There's also the credits, and that'll be it. So thanks for watching. I'm Mackie McCandlish. I'm out of here.